What's up, guys? It's Joel Puncher's Paintball. Today we've got an exciting show off between the two mid-range level guns and their mech frames. We've got the Gtek 180R on my left. We've got the Shocker Era on the right. We are here to do an installation video for you guys, as well as go outside and shoot these two mech frames and give you guys our opinion on what we think and which mech frame we like more. So with that said, guys, hope that you guys enjoy this video, and we'll see you guys after the intro.
I'm so free.
Okay, guys, so we've got the Gtek 180R, we've got the more recent Shocker Era here, and we are here to pop open both of these mech frames and show you guys what these things are all about. The Gtek 180R has been around for, how long has it been, Cody? About roughly a year, somewhere in there.
Yeah, close to a year.
And the Shocker Era has been around for, it just came out right around World Cup, I think, so it's definitely newer than the 180R. Shocker has always kind of been proud of themselves of their abilities to do mech and everything else like that with the TM40 and the Lux Idol. And we are here to show you guys a little bit of the difference between the two. So the 180R mech frame comes in this nice little box right here. So we've got the 180R mech frame box open. So the 180R mech frame is just going to come with the valve. Nice part about the 180R mech frame is the valve is already installed, which is a nice feature. It's got a nice trigger to it, nothing too fancy, and you are going to have to swap out the ASA when it comes to that. It does also come with a little tiny parts bag, which is nice there. And then over here we've got the Shocker Era mech frames, which we just got into the store here recently. We're going to open this bad boy up. Okay, so now we got the shrink wrap off of the Shocker Era mech frame, and it is definitely a little bit more revised compared to the Shocker Amp mech frame. There's a few key differences. One of the key differences is the trigger is actually a little bit larger. Cody, can you zoom in there a little bit for me? As you guys can see there, the trigger itself has a little bit more face to it. I spoke with Yasser, who plays for Peak Performance and is also a master tech for Shocker, and obviously it's still tournament legal, but there's definitely more face there, which is really nice as compared to the Shocker Amp or even the Gtek 180R mech frame. And then it is going to offer the transfer tube here is going to be that new style transfer tube that the Shocker Era offers. So that's going to be a nice feature. You're not going to have as many leaks with the smaller O-ring of the Shocker Amp. So we've got both of these bad boys apart now, and I'm going to, I guess, just start with the Shocker or the Gtek 180R. We're going to pull off our foregrip here, and we're going to pull out our bolt system here. And I'm going to set the Era aside here. Got that aside here. And then we've got the 180R mech frame. You're going to take your Allen key, and we are going to take these apart here. And yeah, that's the right size. So with the 180R mech frame, guys, you're going to have two screws, one in the front of the trigger frame. Can you zoom in just a little bit, Cody? Not, yeah, just a little bit. Okay. And then there's also going to be one towards the back. When you take the bolt out, you're going to unscrew that one as well. And I'll show you some key differences between these two mech frames and as far as installation time goes. Okay, so the nice part about this separates into two pieces. Now, with the mech frame, your valve is already there on the 180R, so all you have to do is just put it into place. There is a little transfer block here that tends to fall out, so you do have to put that back into place. And I don't believe that it is actually directionally oriented, so the portion with the little bit larger gap is the portion that you have to put down. And then on top of that, there's a gasket on top of the solenoid from the electronic frame that you have to take off and transfer. It does probably come in your parts kit, so you can keep one there. From a design perspective, this is kind of a pain in the butt to have to transfer that and keep, you know, track of your transfer block. There's definitely some moving parts here that you have to, you know, keep track of and everything else like that when you're installing the mech frame onto the 180. And then it's just that simple, guys. Not overly difficult. I'm not trying to bash it by any means, but there are definitely some things that you have to do to just be conscious of when you're swapping out the mech frame with the electronic frame. And then the other thing that is a little bit more time consuming with the 180R mech frame is that you have to take off your Pops ASA. So the mech frame is now installed there. You are going to have to take your grips off as well. So in your regulator assembly, and your ASA is going to have to be swapped over from your electronic frame. Alright, so there we have it. There's the portion there.
Cody, get it? I'll grab it.
Alright, so I had Cody grab me a pair of needle nose pliers, probably something that you should definitely keep in your toolbox when you're trying to swap these electronic frames to the mech frames. And as you guys can see there, now I've got the entire Pops assembly, the HPR piston, as well as the spring, and then the entire ASA. I'm going to pop this into place. The thing that's sticking out here, guys, is just for our stand here. So that way, if anybody's wondering what that is, that's just a display thing for the video. And then it's just going to kind of pop into place just like that. You're going to take your larger Allen key here. All this is going to be, you know, in your Allen key set that comes with your Gtek 180R. These two larger screws at the bottom. It's important not to change the screw at the top. That is your velocity adjustment screw. The two larger screws that are side by side with each other are the two screws that hold the ASA into place. Alright, there you guys have it. That's now in place there. And then you're just going to take your bolt system, you're going to pop that into place. That's going to lock into place. You're going to take your grip here, that's going to go in the front. And then once again, there is one more step with the 180R mech frame that's a little bit more challenging than the shocker arrow, which I'll show you guys here in a second how easy the shocker is. Two screws with the trigger frame on the electronic portion that you have to take off to swap your grips out. You could probably purchase another set of grips so you don't have to do this every time. It is kind of a pain in the butt. So I work on a lot of guns, and so does Cody, and that definitely took quite a bit of time. What do you think, Cody? I mean, that was definitely kind of labor intensive when it comes to the 180R mech frame. So we're going to set this aside, and we'll talk about price point and all that stuff here in a second, but we're going to now do the installation on the shocker arrow mech frame before we get into trying to compare the two. So with the shocker arrow mech frame, you've only got one screw that's at the back of the gun. Take that out, as you guys can see there on the back portion of the gun. The shocker arrow uses a hinge mechanism, so all this comes apart. Your electronic frame goes to the side, your solenoid right there. As you guys can see there, the solenoid on the shocker arrow is held in by a latch mechanism. All you're going to do with that is you're going to release that by pulling it down, and then the shocker arrow solenoid just pulls out like this. There is a wire that you have to unplug. That is your solenoid right there. You're going to set that to the side, and then the difference is that the valve is a separate piece with the shocker arrow as compared to the valve being built into place with the 180R mech frame. So you're kind of like gaining and losing things here. So like with this, you've got the valve built into place, but there's two screws as compared to the arrow where you've only got one screw. And then, like with the ASA, it comes with an ASA. So, we'll talk more about that here in a second. But basically, this little black thing right here is your valve assembly, and it is orientation specific. Cody, zoom in real quick. There's a little white silver bar that you can see right here. There's a little notch on the blue portion of this, and that silver bar is going to pop into place. So as you guys can see here, the silver portion is now in the little notch where the blue part is, and I've got the latch mechanism up into place. So now the mech valve is locked into place. Now I'm going to take my mech frame, and the hinge mechanism is going to go in the front like this, and then it's going to lock into place. Before I almost forgot, I do have to take this silver portion right here. This is like the transfer tube, and I'm going to just kind of gently wiggle this out. And I think it actually, the mech frame actually comes with its own, so we'll just use that actually. They beefed up the O-ring sizes on this, and it's bi-directional, so that way you can just pop it into place. So I'm going to pop it into the mech frame here, and it's just going to kind of push into place, as you guys can see there. And then hinge mechanism, and this just pops in just like that. And then I'm going to take my screw and put it back into place. And my Allen key, it's a little bit tougher to reach this as compared to, you know, taking the bolt out and it being readily accessible with the 180 on the back portion. But it's definitely nice that I don't have to worry about 2 Allen screws. Alright guys, so now I've tightened that down. So there you guys have it. That is the mech frame. And then one last piece with the mech frame on the Shocker Era is you do have to take the ASA knob out. That is as simple as unscrewing the ASA knob all the way out. A built-in O-ring in the ASA, so you don't have any O-rings on that. This portion just pushes into place. You kind of have to just make sure it's centered. Apply a little pressure, and then the ASA knob screws in. Boom, there's your Shocker Era mech frame. So that is the main differences between the installation between the two. I think I spent probably, Cody, I don't know if you agree with this, but I felt like I spent less time with the Shocker Era mech frame. It was less involved because I didn't have to take the regulator apart as compared to the 180R mech frame. You're at 190 for the 180R mech frame, and I believe you're at 200 for the Shocker Era mech frame. So overall, between those two, without actually shooting either one of these, I'm already a fan of the Shocker Era mech frame just because it's a little bit simpler. From a feel perspective between the two, this has like a 45 grip on it. So it also comes with grips, which is a nice feature. And the trigger's a lot larger, so from a feel perspective, I definitely think that I prefer the way that the Shocker Era feels. Adjustment wise, I think there's a total of 3 different screws that you can adjust with the Shocker Era, and you've got 1, 2, 3 adjustment points with the Gtek 180R. So with that said, we are going to go outside, we are going to shoot both of these and give you guys our honest opinion once we're actually able to shoot them. Alright guys, so now we're outside. We have the Shocker Era mech frame installed, and then we've got the Eclipse Gtek 180R installed. Both of these guns are shooting right around 280 feet per second. We've got the Triad on the Shocker Era, and we've got an R2 on the 180R. We're shooting 2-star from GI Sports, and we're here to just kind of do a little side-by-side comparison of which one we like the most as far as feel and everything. So we've got the Shocker Era here. Shoots good. Wow, and you can definitely tell that the 180R definitely sounds a little bit quieter. Cody, your turn. Cody, I want to know your thoughts on which one, like from a feel perspective, and which one shoots better, like trigger pull wise and everything else like that.
All right. So I like the trigger on this one more.
The Shocker Era?
Yeah, the Shocker Era, and then I like the pull and like the sound of this one more.
I definitely think the 180R seems to shoot a little bit smoother.
Yeah, it shoots a little bit smoother.
Yeah.
But the trigger on this is, if you tuned it, oh man, you could really rip this.
For sure.
Yeah, the trigger on this is a lot better, and I like the angle of it. It makes it feel a little bit more comfortable.
So with that said, you were able to see me swap out between the 180R and the Shocker Era. Like, the Shocker Era was definitely, for a price point perspective, I think a more value item because it's just a lot easier to change out as compared to the 180R. Which one would you choose if like you had to go play a mech tournament? Which one would you choose?
Probably the Era, just because I like the trigger.
The way it feels.
Like, I care more about the trigger and how fast I could shoot this.
Right.
Like, yeah, this feels good and whatever, but like the trigger just, it makes it almost like you're not thinking you're shooting a mech.
For sure. Yeah, I would agree with that. I like the Era mech frame a little bit more than the 180R mech frame, mostly just from a conversion standpoint, right?
Yeah.
And the extra space with the trigger is nice. I will say, like, having that little shorter trigger pull, like, I can kind of put my fingertip right at the end of it and really get it to rip, which is nice. But I like the overall, like, extra space of the Shocker Era. So between these two, I'm picking the Shocker Era.
Me too.
You are too?
From the angle and the trigger, just because.
Yeah. Well, from a grip perspective, which grips do you like more? Do you like the 45 grips?
Oh yeah. Especially like trying to rip it with one finger, it feels more comfortable. Like I just feel like I'm normal right over here, like I'm shooting electronic. But then I gotta adjust my hand, and this feels comfortable.
Gotcha.
Really comfortable.
All right, guys. Well, there you have it. That is the Shocker Era mech frame versus the Gtek 180R mech frame. Stay tuned. We'll be doing more comparison videos, including probably the DSR Plus mech frame and, maybe the CS3 as well, and when the Lux Idol comes out as well. So thank you guys for watching.